It's the Soul Fantasy Show, Soul Fan Show. Hey, it's the Soul Fantasy Show live for June 6th, 2021. Going over the top picks, plays, and subs for Draftkings and Fanduel. If you already haven't, please subscribe to this channel. All right, we're going over the top plays, and the main thing we have to worry about is this Joel Embiid injury update. So, this is going to be important for several reasons. For Trae Young, for Tobias Harris, for Ben Simmons, the Sixers in general. You saw, as I said, all the Sixers get so much more opportunity when he's not in there. But, so this was an old update, Joel Embiid uncertain. But this, the newest update I see, it says Doc Rivers is optimistic that he plays. So, to discuss that injury a little bit, it's a torn meniscus. Resting it isn't going to get it better. He needs surgery, but he can play on it. Now, when he plays on it, there's going to be swelling. So, that's how you're going to have to watch Joel Embiid. His swelling. So if it swells up real bad after game one, most likely he's going to play. He's not out. He's just doubtful. He's questionable right now. But I'm pretty sure he's going to play. So he's one of the top studs of the day. Now he's going to have surgery, but that'll be in the off season. That'll fix that all up. Because his cartilage is torn. So it's not going to be healing while he's, playing. He needs to get it sewn up. So he's going to be sore and there's going to be swelling in the middle of the game. So that's what that is. So you have to think about that. So as we see, Trae Young had a 58 last game. Luka Doncic had a 65 last game. I imagine Trae Young has a very big bulk of the workload against the 76ers. He's their main stud, their star player. He's only 9,200. He's the sole stud of the day. I don't like rooting against anybody that plays for the Sixers, but the first game you're going to see Trae Young, he's going to have a spark. You're going to see the Sixers handle him, and you'll see the spark the first game. This is no doubt. For 9,200, he scored 60 fantasy points, and he had 57. If he does a lot of the work, he's going to have a lot of fantasy points. So Trae Young, Luka Doncic is going to have a monster game because we've seen two monsters in a row. And we've seen a pretty damn good game for Kawhi Leonard, who was really good. So, and even Paul George, he's been in the 50s last two games. This is game 7. So this is Sixers, Hawks, and the Clippers, Mavericks. They're game 7 and game 1. That's it today. It's a 2-game slate. All right. So then you'll see these Sixers. Simmons, 55 without Joel Embiid. Harris, 57 without Embiid. Keep an eye on that because they're only 83 and 8,500, but they've been priced up. So you have to be aware of Embiid. They probably will play him the first game to test out the swelling in his knee. So then, if you can afford to fit them in your roster, you can. Or in Showdown, you definitely play him. And it's only a 2-game slate, so they're studs. They are stars. They are only in the 8K range. You have John Collins, who has a 70, 1.09 fantasy points per minute. John Collins only 5,900. He's the sole sleeper of the day. Clint Capella, another Hawk, 40 fantasy points. He's 77 though. 59's a little bit more affordable. He only had a 24 last game. They're assuming that these 3 Hawks just have good games, but Trae Young, they're saying, will have the best game, and he is very affordable. So out of all them, I like Trae Young the best. Then I like Collins, then Clint Capella. So for the Sixers, Joel Embiid, now, that 20 is only because he left early. So I would look at the last 5. So 58, 36, and 42. That 58 was when he was just solid without a knee injury. Now we got it. We have to test him out a game. He's 9,400. We have to see how he does this game. I would still roster him because he might just slap the slate and play a lot of people. Zubiak, he's only 3,600 because he only scored 10 fantasy points last time. We were hoping he would get like in the 20s, but he didn't. Hopefully he gets in the 20s today for 3,600. Now, Korkmaz is up there. He's way up there. He really doesn't score a lot of fantasy points. The last time they played Atlanta, he had 25. He had a 28, a 19. So for 3,100, he's worth the risk throwing in there. Now, Shake Milton, I don't think he's going to get a lot of fantasy points, so I probably would fade him out. He's not getting a lot of minutes, with or without Embiid. Seth Curry, though, he had a 34 because he had 30 points. I guess he didn't get a lot of rebounds or assists. So for 5,100, he's a little expensive. He had 34 fantasy points, and he had a 28. So if he gets more on the assist game, maybe gets a steal or two, he might be worth throwing in for 5,100. Kevin Huerter, 14, 18, 20, and 27. Hasn't done too well against the Sixers, but he had an 18, 25, and a 20. Now, Hunter is battling a knee injury. It's uncertain he will take court. So if he isn't in, you'd probably want to play Kevin Huerter. There's Batum. He had a 21. He's right there at his price range, 5K. Morris did not do as good as we wanted him to. Dwight Powell, only 3. That was very devastating. So these are guys you have to be very wary of. So one of these teams is going to be gone tomorrow. Clippers or the nice old Mavericks. Now, a lot of people would like to see the Mavericks move on because Kawhi just had a championship. Kawhi, can he beat the bigger teams? We don't know. I don't think so. Maybe he can, but Dallas might close this out. They had a nice lead, and they let that game just get out of control last night, 2 nights ago, or whatever. Yeah, Friday, last night. So we have Danny Green, who had an average game. He's 4,700. He's worth throwing in because once in a while he'll get them high fantasy points. A lot of these guys you have to really watch Joel Embiid. I'm pretty sure he's going to play, though. 32, 36, 33, 35, 32, solid 30s for Bogdan Bogdanovic. He is the sole mid-range play of the day. 6,900, almost 7K, a hair under 7K. So Reggie Jackson, 44. Man, he really did good. He was really good on the showdown, and he's definitely worth, for 5,400, he's definitely worth throwing in there. I'll definitely have him in there. I'll probably not play Brunson. Josh Richardson's cold. Lou Williams, cold. These guys are cold. DFS, been doing well. Only 5,000 flat. 30, 29. He's been hitting 30 burgers in recently. Dwight Howard, 31 fantasy points. He had rebounds. He had assists. He had points. He's doing it all. So if Joel Embiid's out, Dwight Howard's definitely in. But even if one way or the other, they might if they limit Embiid's minutes, these guys are going to be good as well. So think about whether they limit their minutes. Now, all right, he was cold, but he had a 30, so we'll see with him. All right, this gentleman had a nice solid 24. He was only 3K last time, so he's been getting more minutes. He had 17 minutes. He's having a little bit bigger role lately. So 17, 24, he's the sole secondary sleeper of the day. Bogdan Bogdanovic. George Hill hasn't been too great. Tyrese Maxey has, though. Maxey's just showing he's an all-star. Maybe not an all-star yet, but he's a rising rookie star. He's a rookie. He's 3,900, and he can get you 30 fantasy points. Put him in there. I'd put him in there. Definitely, I would spend the extra $400 over George Hill. George Hill is not really not getting over 20 fantasy points. Maxey is, though. Maxey's not getting 30, but he's getting over 20. So I'd pay that little extra bit of money, even though his value is a little bit lower at 3.8 times value. Tim Hardaway, averaging 30 fantasy points, projected for 30. This is one of the great defensive players for the Sixers. He's 3,300, but if he gets a couple steals, he might get that 24. So you got to keep an eye on him. He might be a good small little option to throw in there defensively for steals maybe. All right, he's been cold. He was cold. He was cold, very cold. All right, so Serge Ibaka has backspasm. He's not going to play. So he's going to be out. These guys. Rondo only had 2 fantasy points last game. For 4,300, that's a little steep for only 2 fantasy points. He only had 10 minutes. Cam Reddish is out. So you don't have to worry about him. Some people were worrying about him in the Philadelphia area, whether he was going to play or not. No, he's not playing. All right, here's the rest. Mike Scott's all the way down there. Some more guys are out. J.J. Redick, Chris Dunn's out. Brandon Goodwin is out. These guys are all the way down here. All right, let's do lineup optimizer. This is for the main slate. Then we'll do singles. Or Draftkings and Fanduel. There's Trae Young. Trae Young is very, very tempting. All right, here's FanDuel main slate. Trae Young, they're putting him in all these lineups. So whether Joel Embiid is out or not, that won't affect Trae Young. Trae Young is their biggest star, and he's just showing everybody that he's a great NBA player. So even if they lose, which they probably will, he's still going to have a great game. That won't matter, though. Unless they double him and contain him. Then you have something to worry about if you play him. But for this case, he's going to be on the cover, so we're going to have him in there. All right, here's the singles. Joel Embiid in the captain spot. Wow. There's Trae Young in the captain spot. Herter, he might be out. If he's out, you put John Collins in, definitely. So, if I go Simmons here, fade Embiid, I can go Clint Capella. Look at that. Look at this one. These are good. If I go Bogdan, you can try to get guys in. If you go Embiid here, get rid of him. Maxey, Curry, you can put here. And this lineup here is a little different than everybody else's, so you'll have, and it's nice. All right, here we go. They love putting Luke in the cabin. Let me show you like what a winning lineup looked like the other day. So they had this gentleman. He was the winning captain yesterday. Batum was in there. Okay, Reggie Jackson. They had Luka Doncic. They had Paul George, I believe. Something like this. This is a pretty good lineup. Will it win? Maybe. I mean, if Beaumont has another good game. Batum, and they all do the same, but this is dependent on Reggie Jackson. So here, Kawhi is the same captain price as last time, 17,000. Luka, maybe a little cheaper this time. I think it was about 19,000. Now, if you try this, take Reggie out this time. Keebler. Now, Luke hasn't been getting enough time, so hope he has a good game. Something like that. Here are the FanDuel lineups. This one fades out. Embiid. Thinking maybe... We don't know how many minutes he's going to get. We don't know anything about him, even if he's going to play. So you have to be very careful. This is going to be the deciding factor of the slate. So that's why a lot of people are leaning towards Trae Young, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris. They have Thibault. Maxey is more expensive than Thibault, obviously. Maxey's been putting those high 20s in. All right. This is nice right there, just like that. These are nice. They're pretty much mixing it up pretty well. It's the Soul Fantasy Show, Soul Fan Show. Let's go over the sleepers and studs. Here are all the sleepers. Porzingis, Jackson, Batum, DFS, Marcus Morris, Tim Hardaway, and Boban. And here's the studs of the day for FanDuel. Donick, Leonard, George, Porzingis, Jackson, Batum, and DFS. Here are the studs for DraftKings. Joel Embiid, number 3 stud. Trae Young's 4. Now, I like Trae Young's price is $9,200. Embiid, see, the Sixers are affordable. They're affordable if you want to save salary. Luka Doncic's very expensive. And here's the sleepers. Like we said, Herter, we don't know if he's going to play, but they're good options.